This review looks at two versions of the Liebherr ECH tower crane model. Conrad 202405 is in the colours of the French construction company Vinci. Model 202406 is in the colours of the Belgian company Wellen. These models are 1/87 scale, so the box they come in is not too big. And to start off with, we'll look at the Vinci version of the model. Both models are the same except for the colour scheme. However, there is one difference with the Vinci model. It does come with two sheets of stickers, and each of these contains 40 signs of various Vinci Group companies, and these get used on a signboard we'll see later. Also included is a good quality instruction sheet, and it describes pretty well everything you need to know to be able to build the model. And it also gives you a chance to practice your languages because it's in German, English and French. The two trays are held together with a strap which factory seals the model, and somehow that seems nicer than just sellotape. With the tape cut, you can lift the lid and you see that all the parts are tightly packed inside the small box. So let's just have a quick look at some of the parts. There's some mast sections, a piece of the main jib which is in two sections, the counter jib which is one complete piece including the ballast, and there's a neat little cab section. Here's the first section of mast, which is mounted on a cruciform arrangement, and as a point of detail, the wheel bogies are mounted in the wrong direction compared to the cable reel that's modelled. But if you do want to change it, that's a very easy thing to do because the rail bogies are just mounted as push fits on the end of the cruciform, and you can just rotate them each through 90 degrees. After that customization, it's on with loading up the big blocks at the bottom, and they just slot into place and provide the stability for the model. The mast sections come in these long pieces, and another detail not mentioned in the instructions is that you need to line up the lattice bracing because it's different on different sides, and essentially all the Ks need to be on the same side. The connections are a push-fit connection, and they're quite stiff because they need to be to hold a good line. The top section of the tower has the climbing frame permanently attached, and again you need to make sure that the cylinder on the climbing frame is lined up on the side with all the Ks. It doesn't affect the functionality, but it gets it looking right to the real crane. The main jib comes as two sections and it has an interlocking connection. And it has been precisely engineered and is a very tight fit. Again, it needs to be because otherwise the main jib won't be straight, but be prepared to show off all your strength in order to obtain a completed connection. The next task is to join the cab section with the A-frame that goes above it. And it's quite a cleverly engineered connection by Conrad. It just clips into place, and when you force it straight, then it locks. And the result is something with a very good geometry. So with most of the pre-assembly done, we can now begin to build the model up. The tower sections are just another push-fit connection onto the base, and again you need to line up the Ks. And when it's pushed tight, you might then just need to line it up a bit to make sure the mast is actually true and vertical. There's a separate piece to add for the climbing frame, and that's just a cylinder which pushes into the ram jacket. But it's not too clear how the bottom piece should fit into the mast, and it's not too good a fit either. With the hydraulic ram sorted, you can then just drop in the access platform onto the climbing cage. Onwards and upwards, and we can add the cab section, which just has a rod coming out the bottom which you just feed into the hole in the slewing ring. And that leaves the last bit of preparation to do on the main jib, and that is to attach the guy rods. These are metal pieces which interlock, and these are good and much better than the pre-bent pieces of wire that used to be provided with the earliest versions of this model. These rods are well made and to a tight tolerance, so the jib is horizontal when it's erected. Moving to the back, it's the same system on the counter jib, and to pretend we're doing this on a real crane, we'll pre-attach the guy rods onto the counter jib ready for it to be lifted. We can now go up top and use the big mobile hand crane to lift the counter jib. The guy rods get attached at the top of the A-frame, and that can be a little bit tricky doing it up in the air. But when you're a skilled tower crane erector like what I am, these things come natural. With the guy rods connected, you can just offer up the counter jib to the connection point, and it's just a push fit. Just to be different, we'll do it the other way around for the main jib and clip it in first, and then make the guy rod connection. Now if you do this and at any point the whole model falls over and breaks in pieces, it means you haven't done it right. With the jib up, the trolley can be added, and one way to do that is just to push it over at the end and push it along. We now move on to the favourite part for anybody who's got a crane model, and that's the reeving up. And it's a little bit fiddly but straightforward on this model. The first thing to do is to unwind some thread from the hoist drum and then pass it over the top of the A-frame. It then gets taken down the front of the A-frame and thread under the connection point of the jib. More thread is unwound and you take it towards the trolley, and then the easiest thing actually to do is to take the trolley off and feed the thread through. Now that I've done one half of the trolley, I can have a go at doing the hook. And it's only got a very small hole in it for the thread to go through, but look at that, straight through in a oneer. After that show of rare talent, the thread gets taken up to the trolley and back out the other side. And when that's done and the thread is pulled through, then the trolley can be clipped back onto the jib. Because the trolley is only a plastic part, it's flexible, so it easily just clips on. So the reeving's nearly complete, and the only thing to do now is to take the end of the thread to the end of the jib. There's no particular tying on point, so it's just tie or not time. All that's left now is to apply a couple of bits of detail, and one of those is a plastic capacity board which just clips onto the bottom of the tower. And the other piece of detailing is to add the signboard at the back on the counter jib. And it's quite a nice system that's been provided with this model, because you get a sheet of stickers that you can use. So you can choose the company that you like, just peel off the relevant sticker and then carefully stick it onto the plastic signboard. And there are 2 sheets of stickers, so you can put one on each side. It also opens up another possibility, which is that you could make your own stickers to put on the signboard, so you could have your own name put on the crane. Once the signboard's all stickered up, you can then just offer it up to the underside of the counter jib and push it home. And it's a tight fit, so it just hangs in place. With that, the assembly of the model is complete, and it stands about 60 centimeters high and about 62 centimeters end to end. Looking a bit closer at the detail using the Wellen model, and the ballast blocks are ribbed to look like separate concrete slabs. The mast sections are quite nicely cast, although the operator's got a difficult climb to the top because there are no ladders. The climbing frame is a weaker part of the model. The access platform looks a bit too narrow and it sits too high on the climbing frame. But the cab section is good. There's a slewing motor outside and the seat controls and internal structure are all visible. The triangulated A-frame is a nice piece of casting work, and there's an electrical cabinet and slightly fat handrails on the counter jib. The main jib looks fine, although it only consists of the sides. There's no bottom on the casting. And the colour match on the plastic trolley is slightly off, so it does look like plastic. Another part of the model which shows its age is the hook, which although it's got nice chevrons, the thread just passes through an eyelet at the top. In overall terms though, the model does look quite good because it has a good geometry. The parts that should be straight are straight. The Vinci version of the model is the same in terms of its detail and construction, but it's obviously got a very different colour scheme in terms of the red, white and blue. And so in choosing between the two models, it's really a question of what colour scheme do you like. So let's have a look at the features of the model, and as it's 1/87 scale, perhaps we shouldn't expect too much. But the hoist does work using the handle on the winding drum. The trolley has to be positioned manually along the jib if you want it in a different place. And as you can see, the hoist rope doesn't fall freely through the trolley and the hook. But as a static model, you can at least pose it wherever you want it. There's also another display option in terms of the height of the crane, because you can build it up to 3 separate heights because the mast sections are separate. And the last feature to look at is the rotation of the crane, and this works really smoothly and nicely. But don't rotate it too fast because it'll smack you right in the jaw. In summary, these are quite attractive looking models from Conrad. The Van Wellen's only been made in a run of 100 models and the Vinci in a run of 250, so they are limited edition. They are based on some very old castings though, so as long as you can accept that, then these are nice looking models to have.